holidays, we see the power of technology and digital platforms. So, could you let's get into the headlines first? You have the graphic and the times.
Yes, and on the front page of the Daily Graphic, sports bounces back. Bernardino's Premier League resumes October 30.
Very good indeed.
0 active cases are target. This is the precedent. GCPP elects Henry Latte, flag bearer, pledges to deepen domestication agenda.
Yeah.
We are not making money from filing fees. EC. Ghana marks Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Day today. And the back page of the Daily Graphic, 15 die in road crashes.
Yeah. The Ghanaian Times says update on COVID-19 combat. Football, other contact sports return as government further eases restrictions. Don't lower your guard. VIP to National COVID-19 Task Force. GRNMA threatens nationwide strike today, but NLC moves to stop it. 6 youth perish, 1 cop dies in 2 road accidents. And if you go to the back page of the Ghanaian Times, it says GTA honors 26 operators in Tema and 200 farmers attend cashew processing training.
City Sports Online has a lot of good stories. Ghana's Premier League returns October 30. Stadia to seat 25% capacity. Also, Mohamed Kudus named man of the match on his Ajax debut. Amazing.
Yep.
Other stories. Liverpool dominate 10-man Chelsea to win at Stamford Bridge. And Ghana Premier League clubs commiserate after death of 6 Colts footballers.
Now, let me take you to citybusinessnews.com. Tax Justice
Network.
Tax Justice Coalition decries uncertainty. Hey, why? What's wrong?
Okay, let me help you.
Decries uncertainty in Ghana's tax policies.
Okay.
16 airlines commence full operations after reopening of Kotoka International Airport. SMEs urged to harness power of digitization to create value and stay relevant.
All right.
More news from City Business News. Don't recruit young graduates to top positions. Organized labor to GRA. I read that particular statement and they are not happy.
Yeah, actually, the City FM online, so citynewsroom.com website, your strike is illegal. Return to negotiation, fair wages to nurses.
Yeah.
Also, compulsory wearing of nose masks directive extended by 3 months. This is the president. Akufo-Addo has no track record after 4 years in office. This is Mahama. And Ghana's success in COVID-19 fight due to Akufo-Addo's clear leadership. This is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Now, let's go to myjoyonline.com. The story there. Until December 14, mask wearing remains mandatory. This is the president. Also, offensive accident was caused by speeding, according to the MTTD. 16 airlines commence operations at KIA after reopening of borders. And minority spokesperson on finance graduates with PhD from KNUST. Now, if you go to Star News, Ghana Premier League to resume October 30, according to the president. 2 police officers die in separate crashes while on duty. And show me 1 secondary school you have built since you won, Mahama to Akufo-Addo. Meanwhile, Akufo-Addo must comment on Benes killing, according to the PPP. Now, Ghana News Agency also leads with the crashes. 8 juvenile footballers perish in fatal accident. President Sterling leadership saved Ghana from COVID pandemic, according to Bawumia. And Henry Latte to lead GCPP in 2020 presidential polls. Do you have other websites?
We can go to, let's go international.
Yes, please.
Let's go to the BBC's homepage, and it says HSBC moved scam millions. Big banking leak shows, and it's a big story.
Huge story
about banks not doing their work well.
Yeah.
And it talks about Putin associates moved millions through Barclays. And Joe Biden says Trump's Supreme Court plan an abuse of power. Plus, on the entertainment side, Succession and some other shows, they sweep the Emmy Awards. The Emmy Awards. As it was held in an empty auditorium, people joined virtually and the awards were handed out.
All right, let's get into the dailies. Could you start with?
Okay, I'll start with the Daily Graphic. Sports bounces back. Now, the story says that President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo has given the green light for the resumption of contact sports 6 months after it was suspended as a result of the ban on social gatherings due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Yesterday, the president, in his 17th update on Ghana's enhanced response to COVID-19, announced that after consultations with the Ghana Football Association, it had been decided that the Ghana Premier League and the Division 1 League would restart on Friday, October 30, with a full regime of testing of players, technical and management staff. However, he said, spectators would not be allowed at the training centres, and when actual competition resumes, seating at all stadia would be limited to 25% capacity to ensure social distancing with the wearing of masks by spectators at impact stadia mandatory. In that context, he said the restart of all other sporting competitions will be determined on a case-by-case basis, pending consultations between the Ministry of Youth and Sports and the respective sports association. On optimism, the president said the president noted that the country had come a long way and made significant progress in combating the disease. He noted that there was a growing sense of optimism and renewed hope that Ghana was on the way to winning the battle against the pandemic, and attributed the improvement in the situation to the effective measures put in place by the government with the cooperation and support of Ghanaians, and most certainly by the grace of God. He says that the wearing of masks, which was instituted, has been extended
to December 14th.
Yes, by another 3 months.
That means that we'll vote in masks.
Yes. Now, on the case count, the president recounted that at the time of his 16th address 3 weeks ago, the number of recorded active cases, that is persons with the virus, stood at 1,847. And it had reduced to 507 as of Friday, September 18. He said the number of tests conducted was 470,000. And that 45,000 people had recovered from the disease. Sadly, 297 people, a great majority of them with underlying illnesses such as hypertension, diabetes, chronic liver disease, and asthma, had died from COVID-19.
Yeah, so that's the story, the big one. You are still in the Times. I'm sure there are other angles there.
Yes, so in that same update, he talked about the situation at the airport since it had been opened to international flights. He said 16 out of the 23 airlines operating in the country had commenced operations. Over 10,000 passengers had been tested with 26 positive cases. So those were the numbers there. I'm sure we'll keep an eye out on that. He also congratulated those who had written their BECs and WASIs and appealed to Ghanaians to continue to observe the COVID-19 protocols to enable the country win the battle against the pandemic.
So the systematic reopening continues. Meanwhile, Dr. Bawumia, the vice president, is commending the president for his sterling leadership during these COVID times. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has attributed Ghana's success so far in the fight against coronavirus pandemic to the sterling leadership of the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Dr. Bawumia says the measures put in place by the government have led to the slow rate of the virus in Ghana. He made these comments at a meeting with agencies, departments, and organizations that have collaborated in the fight against the virus. He says Ghana has a solid reputation globally, as the WHO confirms globally that we are one of the countries that have managed the pandemic the very best. We are among the top 6, even though there was no blueprint in fighting the pandemic. I think many countries are trying to understand how we manage the pandemic in Ghana. We are proud of our people because it wasn't that simple. The Ghana Health Service, Noguchi, and everybody else should be commended. Kojo.
Now, let's go to the center spread of the daily graphic. Stop strike. NLC directs nurses and midwives. As we talk about the pandemic, one group of people who have been key in our fights have been nurses and midwives. Now, the National Labour Commission has directed them, that is the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, to withdraw its intended strike and appear before it on Wednesday, September 23, 2020. It said the declaration of the strike did not follow the due process in the law, nor took into consideration Section 162 of the Labour Act, which prescribes the settlement of industrial actions involving essential services workers. The NLC last Friday obtained an interlocutory injunction against the association, restraining it from embarking on the proposed strike beginning today. Now, the Accra High Court, presided over by Justice Frank Abuaje Roxon, ordered the nurses to sit down with the NLC to get their grievances resolved. And the whole issue is that the nurses, the Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, went to the negotiation table. They wanted about 9 things done for them. And they say they've not, their demands have not been met.
Therefore, they are striking.
So they gave us notice last week that they'll begin a strike today.
But the Labour Commission, Fair Wages.
Labour Commission first went to court.
And then Fair Wages.
Now Fair Wages has released a statement on
that
this.
The strike is illegal. So we wait to see what the nurses will do.
According to the Fair Wages statement, they say they asked for 9 things. They approved 6. And they were still in the process of negotiation. And they heard that the nurses are going on strike. And that is all.
Yeah, so that's where we are with that story. I don't know if the Times has anything on that, but there's a lot of car crash stories everywhere.
Well, yes, the Times seems to have a take, but
Let's start with that.
Let's talk about the crashes. Really,
Yeah.
some of them are really, really, really sad. On page 13, sorry, of the Ghanaian Times, says 6 youth perish, 1 cop dies in 2 road accidents. So they have put 2 stories together. Now, 7 persons, including 6 members of a youth football academy and a police officer, were at the weekend killed in 2 separate accidents. The accidents occurred at Afrancho in the Ofinsu municipality of the Ashanti region and Wale Wale in the West Mampusi district of the Northeast regions on Saturday. Now, the 6 footballers were part of a 36-member Colts club who participated in a juvenile Colts division club tournament and were returning home when a Kia Prego vehicle they were traveling on veered off the road and plunged into River Ofin. 4 of them are in critical condition at the Konfanoshi Teaching Hospital in Kumasi, while 26 of their colleagues who got injured are on admission at the St. Patrick Hospital at Ofin. So the deceased were aged between 12 and 15 respectively. Now, talking about the policeman who died.
Yeah, before the policeman. So the Ghana Premier League clubs have taken to social media to mourn the death of the 6 footballers you just referred to. The players and their handlers were headed to Ofinso having undergone their district coast football registration at Afrancho. Now,
so it wasn't a competition; they went to register.
They were going to register. Yes. Now they are currently under treatment at Konfanoshi Teaching Hospital after being transferred from St. Patrick's Hospital at Ofinso. Now, Asante Kotoko, for example, tweeted, "Our heartfelt condolence goes to the families and loved ones of the victims of the Colts teams." Ashanti Gold also tweeted with a photo of a juvenile team, and they said, "We are deeply saddened by the unfortunate loss of the life of the accident at Ofinso on Saturday night involving Africa Vision Soccer Academy. All of us at Ashanti Gold SC express our condolence to the families and we wish them speedy recovery." Legon Cities FC also posted very disturbing news we are picking up from Afrancho, and they also tweeted. So it's a big story within sports. Then there's another one, a police vehicle or a police person.
Yes.
That's the follow-up story.
Yes, so this one happened on the Wale Wale Road. Now, a policeman was killed while traveling with 3 other colleagues when their car collided with a Kia bus. Now, the 3 others suffered injuries and were rushed to the Tamale Teaching Hospital. According to the Northern Regional Commander of the MTTD, Chief Superintendent Michiraru Yaya, the deceased and injured officers, were in a patrol vehicle heading towards Wale Wale when the accident occurred. And the deceased was the driver, and he's been identified as corporal.
It's been a very difficult weekend. Kojo has a lot more
here.
Yeah.
Somanya from the Daily Graphic, they write that in yet another bloody accident, 4 persons died in a head-on collision involving an Opel Astra saloon car and a Hyundai minibus near Akole on the Dodowa Somanya Road in the Ilokrobo municipality. Sources said the bus veered off its lane and collided with the Opel Astra as they headed in opposite directions. At least 21 persons were injured and conveyed to various hospitals for medical attention. On the Accra Cape Coast Road, Gilbert Marley Agbe reports that a driver and his mates were in the early hours of yesterday crashed to death by a tipper truck at Big Apple on the Accra Cape Coast Highway. An eyewitness told the Daily Graphic that the driver of a Ford Transit vehicle was making a U-turn at Big Apple about 4 a.m. when the tipper truck, which was on top speed, ran into it, crashing the driver and his mates.
So if you go to citinewsroom.com, we have both stories you've read, and according to Moses Sankra, an eyewitness, the driver's mate after the crash went through the window onto the street and died. The 2 people and a mate and a driver died after the tipper truck crashed into them at Big Apple. This story came to us from Calvis Tete. He has more information. He says, medical superintendent at the St. Luke Hospital in Apam, where the victims were taken, called for the dualization of the Accra Cape Coast stretch to reduce such incidents. 5 people died on the spot with 9 sustaining injuries. Now I'm taking you back to the Eastern Region story, because there as well, the reporter Ni Amate Kanaku has additional information. So this is the second time in the region in less than 4 weeks that such a thing has occurred, after 14 others died at Chichire on the Accra Kumasi Highway. This is just last week. Now, the Hyundai vehicle, according to sources, veered off its lane and collided with an Opel Astra, which was headed in opposite direction. Now, out of the 21 survivors who were sent to the Tua government hospital for treatment, 7 have since been transferred to the regional hospital in Koforidua for further treatment. So you have Central Region, you have Ashanti Region, you have Eastern Region with collisions. Now, Kojo, somebody just sent me a message, and he's basically saying that, Bernard, I am on the motorway right now, and the man is seriously digging out cables around an area called KFCC on the Tema to Accra side. That's on the Accra bound side. Please call the police patrol team. This is from Reverend Avotri. He sends this one in whilst we're on air. He says, I am on the motorway right now and a man is seriously digging out cables. Now, I know that there are people fixing these...
the street lights?
No, they are pillars.
Or those fixing the...
They are fixing pillars to prevent people making U-turns.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that's part, but Mr. Reverend Avotri is saying that this person is seriously digging cables. So we're asking the police patrol team on the motorway to go and
Ghana
check.
Highway Authority, go there right now.
KFCC on the Tema to Accra Strait. And Kojo, we will come back to this crash issue, but let's come to other stories.
Let me give you one more from here. It's not a crash, but it's also one of the disasters. Drone pilot rescues colleague and drowns in the process.
Oh.
Now, the story says a member of the National Anti-Galamsey Task Force operating in Dunkwao-Nofin and its environs in the central region drowned last Tuesday as he tried to save another team member from drowning. Isaac Ofori, 25, who is also the drone pilot on the team, managed to save Benjamin Odate from drowning, but got drowned in the process.
Oh.
The Dunkwao Divisional Police Commander, Chief Superintendent John Ferguson Gineku, confirmed the incident to the Daily Graphic and said Ofori and his team were chasing illegal miners in the area when one of the members fell into the Ofin River.
Oh,
he said Ofori, who was capable of some swimming, dived into the river in an attempt to save
his colleague.
Yes, his colleague. He said Ofori managed to bring Odate to safety, but the team members realized Ofori himself could not come to the banks of the river.
Oh, no.
And drowned in the process.
The one who saved his friend
couldn't get out.
This is the same Ofin that the footballers fell into. Well, it's been a really...
But this one is in the central region.
Yeah, Ofin, yes.
The Ashanti region, yes.
Yeah, okay, guys. I don't know. It's really sad stories all over. Let me do something, I don't know, the politics. Show me one secondary school you've built since you won. Mahama to Akufo-Addo. This is Star FM Online. Former President John Dramani Mahama has challenged the President Akufo-Addo to point out the secondary school he has constructed since he won power in 2016. According to him, President Akufo-Addo is heavy on giving promises but low on delivery. Here's a quote: Ghanaians know what my track record is. My opponent comes nowhere near me. When we talk about credibility, who is more credible when it comes to delivery on social infrastructure? Everyone knows who is credible. Meanwhile, former president was on Friday installed as Nkoswahini, or development chief of Apesika traditional area in Kintampo South of the Bono East region. Take me to domestication. GCPP, Mr. Latte.
Yes, Henry Latte.
Yes.
The
new flag bearer.
Yes.
And domestication continues.
Well, last year he was the last 4 years.
Yeah, he said the domestication is going to continue.
Right.
Yes.
So really, it's not new. They've maintained him, right?
Well, but it's new because every year has a new whatever.
Now, Nana Kunidu Ajima writes for the Daily Graphic that moments after he was elected for the third time as a flag bearer of the Great Consolidated Popular Party last Saturday, Dr. Henry Herbert Latte said the time had come for the Ghanaian electorate to buy into the party's domestication and modern industrialization agenda. He said the twin agenda remained the hope for the nation and encouraged the electorate to rally behind the GCPP by voting for it in the December 7 general elections in order to put Ghana's development on the right course. He also described the 100,000 Ghana cedi filing fees fixed by the EC for the presidential election as no surprise and expressed the party's readiness to pay the amount.
Okay, let me take you to a different story. City Business News. MTN modifies tariffs to reflect reduction in CST, gives 5% bonus on all charges. Story by Netili Neti that the MTN Ghana has announced an adjustment to its tariffs following the passage of the Communication Service Tax CST Amended Act 2020, Act 1025, also known as the talk tax, to reflect the reduction in the CST. This follows government's announcement of a reduction in the CST from 9% to 5% as part of efforts to mitigate the economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic on Ghanaians. A statement issued by the company said, MTN Ghana has adjusted its tariffs to reflect the 4% reduction in communication service tax. Tariffs for all voice calls, data and SMS have been amended to reflect the downward adjustment of the CST. In addition, MTN is given a 5% bonus on all types of recharges, including physical voucher, mobile money, and EVD. The tariff adjustment took effect from September 15, 2020.
There is an interesting story on page 25 of the Daily Graphic. Steel company lays off 400 workers. Company shut over pollution concerns.
Charlie?
Dela Russell Oklu writes the story from Tema. It says steel manufacturing firm United Steel Limited says it has laid off about 400 workers, at least temporarily, as it continues to remain shut as a result of an order by the EPA. The general manager of the company has since raised concerns about the refusal of the EPA to allow the company to resume operations until adequate pollution control systems are installed. The EPA ordered the steel manufacturer to halt operations after the company failed to meet a July 15, 2020 deadline for the installation of a modern pollution control system in line with environmental relations. The executive director of the EPA, Mr. Henry Kokofu, led the tour of the company's facilities last Thursday to assess adherence to environmental standards. Now, during the tour, the general manager of the steel company alleged that similar pollution challenges within the Free Zones enclave in Tema had been overlooked by the EPA while the United Steel Company remained shut. And according to him, there are sister companies within the enclave with similar smoke emission challenges, which the EPA has allowed to continue to operate while they remain shut, although they have made nearly $2 million in investment into fixing the challenge. And he thinks it's not fair. And according to the story, 400 workers of the company have been asked to go home until this issue is resolved.
Let me give you a quick sports story from Ajax. Ghana's Mohamed Kudus was named man of the match in his debut. That's amazing. Ghanaian international Mohamed Kudus started life in the Dutch Eredivisie with a win and a man of the match award as Ajax ran away with a 3-0 victory. The 20-year-old started and lasted the entire duration of Ajax's win over RKC Waalwijk as they moved second on the league log. Kudus got himself booked but bossed the activities of the day from the middle of the pitch to earn himself man of the match. This is City Sports Online. He's one to watch out for.
Yeah, he's a crowd favorite at Ajax. But let's get to the UK, and the banks there are facing a lot of trouble.
Charlie?
Now, HSBC allowed fraudsters, and this from the BBC's website via their app.
Yes.
HSBC allowed fraudsters to transfer millions of dollars around the world, even after it had learned of their scam. That's according to leaked secret files. Now, Britain's biggest bank moved the money through its US business to HSBC accounts in Hong Kong in 2013 and 2014. Its role in the $80 million fraud is detailed in a leak of documents, banks' suspicious activity reports that have been called the FinCEN files. HSBC says it has always met its legal duties on reporting such activities. So
it's an investment scam.
Yep.
A Ponzi scheme. Charlie, the monies involved are large. Anyway, gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the newspaper review. Coming up next, we have the holiday edition of City Business News. Don't go away.